What's going on, you guys? It's your boy Patrick, aka Addicted to Combat, back for another live stream. Happy Wednesday. We are back to talk UFC Fight Night Jacksonville, taking place this Saturday during the day, since it's one of these ABC Fight Night cards. I think it's like noon o'clock start time or something like that. So once again, we've got 14 fights currently on the card at this point in time. Zhumagulov back on the slate. Hopefully he can stay on this card with like his fourth opponent so far this month. Some other fun names, but it's mostly headlined by a featherweight main event. High-level stuff between Josh Emmett and the rising prospect, the undefeated Georgian Ilia Topuria. So can't wait for that main event. There's a lot of fun fights on this card and a lot of violent spots as well. So I do have 5 money lines. I highlighted those on my full card breakdown I released early this morning. And I'm here with a couple of cool cats that had me on their show last week. It's a couple of guys I've been friendly with in the Twitter space. Very popular crew called ChronicCombat Conversations, my guy TB and Guru. And they're deeply embedded in the game of mixed martial arts. They're going to help us find some spots to bet on, break down some fights with us, and give us their insight and knowledge. I mean, what else can you say about these guys, man? They're charismatic. They like weed and they like violence. Let's bring them in, man. What's going on? What did I miss? What else do you guys like? Weed, guns, gambling?
Yeah, we love it all. You nailed it. You laid it all.
I don't think you could have said any better.
Bruise, babes, I don't know, all of it. Let's go.
So, yeah, I mean, we can kind of quickly recap. You guys were totally right, and I was totally wrong last week when I was on your show. I was giving all sorts of high praise to Christian Leroy Duncan. That guy let me down, and is pretty much the reason I went minus 1.77 units last week. So good call on that one, you guys. How'd you guys shake out of last week's event?
Great question. So pulling up the Bet MMA right now, and you know, things were looking a little sketchy as we were heading into the last 4 fights of the night. I can't even lie to you guys. It was a little frustrating being on the Denise Bondar side. Almeida scorecards, no action.
And also, by the way, I thought I thought we were starting off the night on a fucking cash dart throw, Zach Pauga by decision. Did I miss something?
Here we are.
I thought he won the fucking. Did I miss something?
Oh yeah, that was kind of a close one, huh?
I don't know. I thought he did enough. So that's kind of set the tone.
Right.
To, like TV said, the final 4 night fights.
We're down 4 units going into the last 4 fights. We got Manuel Torres round 1 knockout for a quarter unit. Boom. We got
I forgot they robbed him of that one too.
That's it, right? Armin Petrosian for 2 units. 2 units out to win 2.9 at plus 145. Boom. We had Armin Saruki and Joaquim Silva fight to start round 2 for 1.05 units to win 1. And then we had the Vittoria Cannonier fight goes the distance, our biggest bet of the day. As sketchy as it might have looked early on, we're betting on Vittoria's chin, and look at that, baby. We did it again. So finished up 2.83 units for the week. That's 4 in a row that we've squeaked it out in the green here or there on one of them, but the other's a nice solid profit each time.
Yeah, man, that's you had some good reads on that card. My biggest mistake last week was not and I was playing kind of scared, man. There's a lot of props I brought up throughout the week, and I just did not play them just for fear of, just seeing things the wrong way. This card, I think it's a little bit more clear that there's a lot of violent spots and stuff to target that way. Maybe we can chain some of these props together, but we can dive right into it after shouting out the chat, since we do have 14 fights still on this one, man. But some pretty high-level stuff since they've left the Apex. I don't mind the Apex cards. I know there's a lot of hate for them. Like I do kind of like the quiet atmosphere, and I just like the fact that they do have fights every single week, and they don't have to be forced to, have all these breaks in between. At least we can still have fights even if they are low level at the Apex. But this week down in Florida, it's a pretty violent card. So shouting out the chat, we got our guy Daz Files first in the house, man, showing some love for the Chronic boys. We got Victor J. De Jesus, another pair of awesome guests. Happy Trevor Fight Week. And it was very nice to see and finally meet and hang out with Victor last weekend at Bellator in Chicago. It was awesome, man. We had a good time with Johnny K. Picks and Blood Money MMA Bets. That was a fun time. So good to see you once again, Victor. And Just My 2 Cents in the house. Everybody go check out Just My 2 Cents' channel. And he did the show with Aaron the Dog earlier tonight, I believe, like 5 p.m. So that was pretty cool. They had the Jewish Better on there as well. I caught half of that as I was driving home from work. But yeah, man, we can move in. I think the schedule has slightly it stayed the same. We still have a middleweight bout heading off the prelims. First fight of the night: Cody Brundage versus Rodrigues Dumas. It's a pretty fun fight here. I would say it's a spot where both guys are coming off of losses in desperate need of a win. Cody Brundage more of the wrestle boxer type, but never really seeing more than halfway through a 3-round fight. And Rodrigues Dumas kind of similar, right? He dropped the ball in his first fight. Kind of got exposed for his lack of grappling, his lack of sort of like tenaciousness to continue into the fight, and he ended up tapping to his submission by Josh Fremd pretty quickly. So, the line I think is a little bit of an overreaction to his last loss. Right now, we're looking at minus 175 to minus 185. Brundage, Dumas about that plus 150. I still think Dumas is like a talented guy. He's got that long, lanky physique for the weight class that does well in modern day combat. So I like that. He certainly has power, but can Brundage just avoid that knockout shot, employ some wrestling, and get him out of there? That's the direction I'm leaning with this one. TB, start us off. What do you think about this fight?
Yeah, I tend to lean back to my original, I was on the Dumas dumbass train in the first UFC matchup of his, but I think as time is a circle, you have to be able to look back at the things you saw and not get too biased. I think he comes in with some distinct physical advantages in this fight, and Cody Brundage has shown a low level of fight IQ time and time again. And Dumas is one of those guys with a killer guillotine himself. For someone that has a big reach advantage, I think, Cody Brundage is going to put himself in danger, whether it's going in a improper fashion for a takedown and leaving his neck out, or just playing too much at range with someone that is a bit dangerous. Josh Fremd can take a hit, and Josh Fremd was the bigger guy in that matchup. Something, I kind of glossed over in originally capping that fight. But coming back around town as people are jumping on the Brundage train, definitely, has cardio, has some wrestling, but I just don't trust him to execute the perfect game plan. If you want to be safe and do under 1.5, yeah, sure, go ahead, pay some juice. But I'm going to take the dog shot here on the guy I think is the better, younger athlete with significant athletic advantages.
Yeah, I like that call. It's not. Certainly can't argue with that. With Brundage's lack of durability, we've seen in a few spots, and Dumas does have some fast strikes, especially early. But Guru, do you agree that the under is kind of a good spot here? I mean, the stats definitely back it up. I think 8 out of 12 fights for Brundage have ended under 1.5. I think probably something similar to for Rodrigues Dumas. I think 6 of his 7 have come inside the distance. Who do you see taking this one in the first fight of the night?
I do like the under 1.5 as well, and even though it is kind of juiced at minus like 175, it probably does get done, right? So
Yeah.
it's tough because again, I was like if there was a Dumas train, I was leading that motherfucker because I was bragging about all my CLV and it felt dirty, and then he literally fought like it was a street fight instead of his regular. Like he just did, his head was whipping back and forth. Like it looked bad. It looked. Really...
They're back in Florida, man. They're like in this. You think it's gonna be another street fight? That's the problem here.
It might just be right. His homies are all there. Like I don't know what he's driving 6 hours to train. I don't know what the fuck is going on. This guy is literally crazy. But the problem with Cody Brundage, other than this price tag, which is really the biggest issue, is his fight IQ, right? He's put himself in bad situations, getting absolutely obliterated by Mikhail Jacek when he should have and could have had the grappling advantage. Just was bad. Putting some work in on Adolfo Vieira, and I'm sure he still regrets it now. Jumping for the guillotine, like. You just don't do it, man. You have to know, like you can't. Oh, I was just in the moment. Like no. It's like when you're about to see somebody again for the first time, and it's like, hey, don't bring up the fact that their dog just died. They're really upset about it. Just talk about anything else. And like the first thing you say is, "Oh, look at that cute dog over there." Like, just no. Like you can't make that mistake. It's a mistake you just can't make. And he made it. So he's a no bet for me at this price. trying to make some money back maybe on Dumas. And I like a little dart throw. I like maybe, Dumas, like the round 1 KO specific, or maybe even you get a little spicier because you get that spicier price tag with the round 2 specific. But yeah, low level. Crazy. It's going to be crazy.
Yeah, we both have our biases going into this one. I'm because I was on the opposite side. I was on the Josh Fremd side that night, just because of the experience and like kind of grit that he had. And when you see these athletic, more like physically gifted guys that come in with a lot of quick finishes like Dumas, and they're finally facing somebody who's, maybe not the most talented guy like Josh Fremd, but he certainly has been in there and had his, he's paid his dues in the MMA cage. Those guys can usually shock the undefeated, talented, more gifted guy. And that's kind of the angle I took with it, and it ended up cashing out. So I'm going to be on Brundage this week, too, with the money line bet, just 1.3 units at minus 130. So I got a little bit of that Guru CLV unintentionally on this one, since Brundage is up to minus 180, minus 190. But I might play that under 1.5 in some fashion this week, just because I think that covers both sides of this one.
I think if you want to go dirty, you just go full dirty. You go fight doesn't even start round 2. Fuck it.
Yeah, it just ends in round 1. I think it might be a car crash to start the night with the crowd, and one of these guys will probably go out. You know how frantic, especially Brundage, will fight. I think TB was totally right with that high elbow guillotine certainly being in play at some point if Brundage does shoot off to the side there. But man, that's it's a pretty binary fight, but it's a good way to start off the card. I think they're doing the right thing here, starting it off with this one, because it should be a pretty violent affair. We can move on. First, Sicky Does MMA saying what's up. The chairman, the CEO of the John Jones fan club. Sicky blessing us with his time. What is up, brother? Our girl Jenna Marie with the kissy faces and the hearts. Thank you for showing up as well and retweeting the post, citing your excitement for this one. And Lou Betya in the house, even though TB is now dead to him because he's betting against Cody Brundage. He's still calling it handsome. So thank you, Lou, for stopping in, man. And here's our guy, 138 MMA. Two faces I'm not familiar with, man. Familiarize yourself with these guys. ChronicCombat, and you guys should go and follow my guy, Ty from 138 MMA. He does awesome work on YouTube as well. Really in-depth breakdowns, and he knows his stuff. A kickboxer himself, man. What's up, Anthony W. in the house? Everybody's filtering in now. Solid crew tonight. Let's go. And my fellow Patrick Wilkins in the house. Man, best parlay. We'll probably cook up some violence between maybe this fight and a couple others that won't see the scorecards. But I'll keep that in mind, man. I'll shout out a parlay at some point. I'm keeping notes on all the props and stuff that we're going to agree on tonight. And then I think I'll cook up something for this one, parlay-wise. There's a lot of like these chalky fight doesn't goes that I think if we chain some together, some confident ones, we could probably either set up a round robin or a parlay and cash out on this one. So moving along to a super high-level flyweight fight that I think is this low on the card because of Tatsuro Taira's ties to Japan. I think they're trying to appease that fan base that it won't be too late by the time this airs over there. So Tatsuro Taira taking on Clayton Rodrigues. We've got Taira 13-0 for the grappler. Really young at 23 years old still. He's been, I think, 3-0, 4-0 in the UFC. Coming off of a spot where he was a minus 1250 favorite over Jesus Aguilar, scored the easy round 1 triangle submission. Clayton Rodrigues, a Brazilian, very powerful striker for 125. So it's basically a battle of if Clayton can keep us on the feet or if Tatsuro Taira can work his magic on the ground. So the money line was a bit wide. It was like minus 300 for Taira, which I think a lot of people agreed was way too wide. It did come down at one point on BetOnline to minus 235 for Taira. And now we're back up to minus 270. Man, it just seems like if Clayton can stuff a few takedowns or if Taira plays too much on the feet, he could get himself knocked out. Another spot where I like the under 2.5 at minus 150. But Guru, what do you think about this matchup? Who are you favoring in this one? Do you think there is inherent value on Rodrigues here?
I think it's very interesting because Clayton Rodrigues has shown himself to be at least when you're like whatever you've seen on tape, like just kind of almost a car crash at times, right? Very dangerous, comes forward with spinning craziness, a lot of energy, high power, a very flashy striker. But at the same time, you kind of watched him put on a dud of a performance versus CJ Vergara, who you hate to do the MMA math, but Tatsuro made made that one look easy. Controlled him, choked him out in round 2. I mean, there was never really a moment of doubt or trouble there. Just kind of interesting, you wonder how those triangles end up. Taira, man, is just somebody, like you said, super high level fight. I forgot to say it on our show. This is my fight of the night. I am so excited for this one because I think Klitzen could be that guy, and even if he doesn't win this fight, can still has such a high ceiling. I just of course plus 200 is always sexy. You haven't seen Taira really take too many strikes, which is why everybody's interested to see, can he really take this punch? But man, I think with too much flashy stuff, he's just going to throw one of those spinning kicks, and Taira's just going to jump on his back and put him down. And the only way this fight does go the distance is if Taira's just on top of him, controlling him for 15 minutes type of thing. Otherwise, somebody's getting finished. And I like the under 1.5.
No, I agree with you that's like the double-edged sword, so to speak, for Clayton Rodrigues. Like that could be the thing that scores him the round 1 knockout is the spinning attack, something wild and explosive. But that's also probably more than likely what gets him taken down in this matchup. And I agree, if this does stretch out and it goes over 1.5, over 2.5 to the scorecards, possibly, I think it would just be like it's a matchup where he gets controlled, Clayton Rodrigues, and we say, wow, he's got very good submission defense. That was impressive. But he gets controlled to a decision loss. Unless he can sprawl and brawl and stuff every single takedown, and just out kickbox him in the feet. Possible, but still, I think it's kind of unlikely here. TB, what do you think about this one, man? Are you on the Rodrigues side? Are you taking that big plus money?
No plus money for me in this spot. I'm a gobble it up elsewhere, but over here, I'm a supporter of Tatsuro Taira. I think he does have enough striking acumen, and I think his durability is going to hold up when it's tested. I think the explosive attacks leave the openings. There's another spot on this card where I think that also holds true, where the person that really sells out into their power and striking ability is going to leave themselves open to the grappling attack. I think Taira by submission. Rodrigues just probably hasn't faced the level or the size that Taira can combine. And I don't really have the prop number yet on submission on DraftKings myself. Do you got it anywhere? But that's what I'll be looking for in this spot.
I'm looking at it right now. They haven't dropped it yet.
Yeah, right.
The one on Bovada right now for Taira submission is pretty short. It's plus 135. It's kind of like an expected thing at this point. I think the only thing that pops out from a prop perspective, like a method of victory, would be Rodrigues by KO, which is plus 650. Like that's, that jumps off the page if you were to be on that side. But yeah, Clayton's inside the distance, plus 400. I don't even know. Let's see. He's got some good submissions himself, man. And that's 10-1 for Rodrigues by submission. But just things to consider taking a small sprinkle on. But I'm with you guys. I think it's Tatsuro Taira probably inside the distance. I just wish the money line wasn't as wide. I feel kind of dirty even parlaying that with anything else. I liked it when it slightly dipped down to minus 235, but that's about where I put the money line. So I just didn't see a whole lot of value betting him at that price. But hey, man, there's going to be a time to fade. I'm quick to jump the gun and try to predict when these undefeated fighters, these young fighters, are going to catch their first L. But I don't think this is the spot, to be honest with you. So to be continued, man. And Patrick Wilkins saying Amanda, Tabitha, Ilia, Taira, and Peak. Let's go, man. I might agree with you on most of those, man. I think there's one on here I don't, but it's close. I like it. I'm rooting for you, man. Cash that big plus money ticket. A lot of spots on this 14 fight card to really chain some things together. So we can move right along to a featherweight bout between Jamal Emmers and Jack Jenkins. This is another spot that I've got, I think, a stronger opinion than most on. Jack Jenkins, of course, a prospect making his second walk to the cage officially. He made his debut earlier this year back in Australia, UFC 284. And, he faced shameless Don Shainis, which is kind of a layup of a debuting opponent, but took him to a decision. It was a little bit of a back and forth. Like, clearly Jack Jenkins won. He's a pretty good generalist with his kickboxing. He can mix in takedowns, get some ground strikes in there, but his leg kicks are super devastating early. And yeah, he's like breaking people's legs in the regional scene with leg kicks. So that's something to watch out for. Jamal Emmers coming back in a major way after a long layoff. And this guy's been facing high-level competition throughout his entire career. And after catching that submission loss to Pat Sabatini, he had a long layoff, probably due to some injury. Comes back against the 23-0 Hussein Askabov. And as a dog, he comes through and makes it look very easy. Stuff and takedowns, using his good speed and movement, athleticism, and then actually mixing in wrestling of his own, which is truly his base in mixed martial arts. So I like Emmers a lot in this spot. I know people are kind of hating on this money line, and it might be a bit wide. Jamal Emmers is now dipped down to minus 208 on the money line. I got him at minus 193, and I did put a couple units on Emmers. I just think that he's more athletic than Jack Jenkins. I think this is a big step up in competition for Jenkins, and with Emmers, I think he's just stronger in all areas of the game, to be honest. You can point to his poor fight IQ in certain spots, but that's about it. The only thing I'm really worried about would be Jenkins, damaging that mobility early with the calf kicks or something. So am I off on this one, man? Is there something to Jack Jenkins that you guys like that I'm missing?
Can I be honest?
Yeah.
You were listening to you were listening to our show before, right? You listened to us break it down already, and then you came on here to make it sound like you did all that work yourself and stole all that work from us. That's what you did. You're gonna make us look bad on your own show. That's how you're about to do us, huh?
Hey, man, you guys wanted to go first. You knew what I was gonna do.
Dude.
I didn't even do any tape study for this card.
To a T, bro. A T. Right? I mean, TB was all about talking Jack Jenkins with the I like Jack Johnson. I like Jack Johnson. Jack Jenkins with the calf kicks, and I'm just like, man, Jamal Emmers I feel so bad about taking that absolute fraud Ashkabov over him. Jamal Emmers is gonna be bigger, taller, the more athletic fighter, the more well-rounded fighter, the fighter with more experience, a fighter with his own takedown percentage of he's literally landing over 2 takedowns per 15 minutes, and has a 50% efficiency with shooting his takedowns. So he's chances are he's gonna get Jack down, and I'm not sure what Jack's gonna do with it. Jamal Emmers is a good striker in his own right. He literally went toe to toe with it's literally still his best fight to this day. He goes toe to toe with Giga Chikadze. So I'm being attacked by cats, but I guess there's worse things.
How am I going to be monetized if you've got your cat's asshole on the camera, dude? Do you want to blur that out? Give me some notice here? Jesus.
I have them both right here. Look at this.
Oh my God. That one looks comfy as shit that's laying down already.
Yeah, this is Philip and this is Terrence. Terrence and Philip. Philip won't stay.
Why'd you give them people's names? Why didn't you name them like Professor Whiskers or something?
I do really want the whole long story.
I would like a fake one that's entertaining.
Whatever. His name was Philip when we adopted him, and there was no other name that made sense. The orange one's name was Papaya when we adopted him, and that's terrible. It can't be Papaya. So South Park's my favorite show. Terrence and Philip were born.
Oh, gotcha. There we go. Huh, that makes sense. That makes more sense now.
There you go. That was the abbreviated version.
That was a good way of distracting from the fact that you just had your cat's asshole in clear 1080p.
He always does it. It happens, yo. He just wants you. He just wants to be
filthy. What a filthy animal!
It's better than Guru's asshole in 1080p.
True. That's Jesus. True. That would get you not just demonetized. That get you thrown off the platform.
Platform.
You should actually.
You're a bigger dwarf animal than that cat.
You should actually be thanking me. So.
Oh God.
Christ, how about this for a segue?
you filthy degenerates, man. Smoking weed, putting cat genitalia on my shit. No, I'm just kidding. What's up, TB? What do you got on this fight, man? Are you in agreement, Jamal Emmers?
I want to be, but I can't place my money on Jamal Emmers. I'm just gonna see if I can save myself from a losing dog shot and disappointment if I was to place my money on Jack Jenkins. Because I lean towards the combos, the calf kicks. And then as I'm watching him kind of get mounted by Don Shanis, I'm like, well, fuck, man. I mean, I think this is where
that was the spot for me where I'm like, okay, you should probably be not letting that happen against Don Shanis, who's a complete bum in my opinion.
The Don. Yeah, so as Guru was saying, Jamal getting jacked down, as long as he's not getting jacked off, then I think we're all good. But yeah, I will pick Jamal Emmers begrudgingly, but he might be like in my not in this economy parlay. Trademarked Lubetchia has copyright filings along with me on that terminology. So once he stops being salty about Cody Brundage, we'll start splitting our big.
While you're headed to the patent office, make sure you get Grandma's couch cushion trademark for me.
That's right. There we go.
Yeah, we got Dad's Files. He's repping. Man, he's probably from like the same part of town as Jack Jenkins. Isn't Jack Jenkins? He's Australian, not
comes from a land down under.
Yeah. So he's saying he's got good fight IQ. A totally biased opinion from Dad's Files, who's got 3 units on Clayton. So man, he's putting his nuts on the table. I love to see it, man. Any Action Effie from the Any Action Sports guys. He's on Emmers as well. I feel better about this already, and so is 2 Cents. So, man, okay, we're some of you guys are making me feel better about this Emmers pick, man. I've been hearing nothing but like don't trust Emmers at chalk odds kind of talk in some of the viewing I've done on MMA Twitter so far, but man, I feel pretty good about it. So, man, something a lot less technical potentially, but a lot more fun. We move up to lightweight to see Trevor Peek, undefeated, 8-0 professional, making his second walk to the UFC cage, taking on a debuting fighter, Jose Chepe Mariscal, who's a short notice fighter stepping in. But, man, this guy's on the resume of a lot of UFC fighters. He's fought and lost to mostly a lot of guys that he's been testing himself. Like, man, who's on this guy's resume? He beat Pat Sabatini at one point in time. He's losing to guys he probably shouldn't, though, like Steve Garcia, Sean Soriano. Joe Anderson Brito just beat the piss out of him in like a couple of exchanges. That was a pretty violent fight. I think Bryce Mitchell also whooped him as well. So, and not to mention Chip and Mariscal. I mean, this is a lightweight fight on short notice. He's mostly been fighting at featherweight. So that's something I, was taken aback by. But I mean, on paper against Trevor Peek, like Mariscal's got all of the ingredients to beat this guy. But Trevor Peek, just totally untechnical, but totally effective with his striking. Just a super aggressive brawler, hitting hammer fists, standing hammer fists against Eric Gonzalez in his last fight to knock him out at the buzzer at the end of round 1. And he's got some takedown offense as well if he can really level change. So there's certain spots where I feel bad watching the tape on Trevor Peek and like how untechnical he is. He lives his chin right up in the air to be hit, doesn't pace himself very well. So anytime I'm being asked to like pay a favorite price tag on him, I don't feel very good. But is he still the underdog at this point, or is this a complete 50-50 pick him? Where are we at with this line? Still a pick 'em, minus 110 a piece on these guys. Yeah, just about a little bit of money going in on Mariscal at this point. We got minus 103 on Bet Online for Trevor Peek. I could get behind him at that point, but probably going to take Peek inside the distance since he's got 8 wins, 8 by knockout. Probably how this fight ends, probably early. You guys got any differing opinion on how this thing plays out? Will we see a Trevor Peek go into the scorecards on Saturday?
I like Peek. I think being in his natural weight class, Mariscal, short notice, coming up a weight class here, fighting the guy that's been preparing to be in the spot, that earned his way into the UFC rather than just being available to show up on short notice. I ultimately just it's especially with the line coming to it. If it was like steep favorite Trevor Peek, I'd have to really consider my options here. But I mean, you're giving me even money on the guy that they're trying to promote. I mean, come on. So I think it's an easy decision for me, and inside the distance, of course.
Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah, it's very interesting. They're kind of like split personalities of each other because they're both fucking crazy. I do want to make this clear. Like the better, more well-rounded MMA fighter is definitely Chepe.
Yeah,
like he has more experience. His style is, while still insane, more refined. He's come into these last few fights fighting a little bit more of a patient style. And like he's at least showing like he's willing to mix it up. Like he'll find good timing to shoot a takedown. Like he's still fucking crazy. He's still willing to brawl. And I was also trying to explain this on the show either. It was really kind of crazy. How can you say that somebody like has chin, like kind of is chinny, maybe has chin issues, but is also tough as nails and has that dog in them. Because it's like he really has both. Like he'll get dropped, he's been finished. Brito literally put him through the floor. But like the Steve Garcia fight, he literally gets knocked out cold in the first 6 seconds. But when he hits the floor, he kind of wakes up, and then he's back to fighting. Like, so you really have to fucking kill that guy. Like, you really, really have to. So Peak, as you saw versus Gonzalez, still kind of struggled at times to really make sure to put him away. I mean, you can say the same thing about Frivola, though, because Frivola took him like 6 times to do that. Knocked him down 6 times. Another guy that was really tough, got these rubber chins. So really interested to see this one. I kind of like a Peak round 1 knockout or what's his face? Chepe round 2 knockout. But no way this fight goes past under 1.5.
Yeah, because if Chepe could just sit back, be more technical and patient, and avoid the big strike, you could see Trevor Peak just swinging at air, missing wildly, and then he's got no gas left, kind of like in that Contender Series fight in round 2. But luckily in that fight, Malik Lewis, gassed out. He was the one that actually faded in round 2, just a little bit more, lost the fight. And 2 Cents brings up a good point, man. Like, they're pushing Peak. Feels like he should be a bit wider as a favorite here since, based on like looking around MMA Twitter, based on people's confidence and love for the guy as a fan favorite, it feels like he should be like a -150 to -200 favorite, just based on like people's opinion of him right now in the handicapping community, anyways. But yeah, I think there's a lot of people that are just hesitant to put like a large amount of money on this guy since he is so just non-technical, So I'm definitely one of those people. I don't have anything on Peak at this point. If I do, it'll be probably pairing the violence or him inside the distance with somebody else that I think can get an easy finish on this card. And there's a couple of spots. So confidence is pretty high in Peak in this one. But I mean, it's not like the guy is totally incapable of tightening up a few things in his game, right? But I think Trevor Peak is one of those fighters where it's like if you take that wildness, you take that like aggression out of him, then he becomes like when they tried to like tailor Johnny Walker. He just stands there. That could probably happen at some point. But what do you guys think about that? You think there's improvements to be made for Trevor Peak?
I think TB
not that there aren't improvements to be made, but do you think he can?
No,
he's capable of making them.
TB brought up something unbelievable on our show at ChronicCombat Conversations tonight. Trevor Peak won his last fight by knockout, got the $50K bonus, and because of it was able to quit his full-time job and now full-time train. So talk about getting better. How could that not help?
True. What did he do before? Does anybody know what he was doing for a living?
I forget. I can't answer that question, but I think the dude he looks to be in incredible shape based off of the pictures leading up to the fight week here. So I think all this extra attention could only do great things.
Where is he from again? He's from somewhere where 2 Cents lives, somewhere in the hillbilly South, right?
Oh yeah, it's out in the definitely out in the
Alabama. Trevor Peak. Yeah, he's probably one of those guys who's like the overly jacked, aggressive guy working at Jiffy Lube or something in Alabama, just scaring the shit out of people trying to get an oil change.
Don't test me, bro.
Yeah, exactly. Just trying to fight everybody in sight of the local bar in Alabama. 2 Cents, can you confirm or deny? I know you guys probably cut from the same neighborhood, but we forgot one major thing. Trevor Peak does have God on his side on this one, right? He's like he got down on his knees and was like feeling the Holy Spirit taking him over after his last knockout. So he does have the Lord on his side on this one, but I don't think he needs it, man. I think he gets the knockout, so we can move right along on this one, man. Do you guys have any action on that fight, by the way, or are you staying off of it?
I think so. A dart throw. I like the lottery ticket kind. I mean, which is not going to be, but Trevor Peak round 1 KO. Like I want specific. I want all the money.
Something like you could probably get like what plus 250. I'm seeing on Bet Online, probably plus 275 somewhere else. I'm sure
that would be the least of exactly. That would be it would have to be that for me to even consider it.
Right, yeah, that's what I'm looking at right now. Trevor Peak, round 1 knockout. Yeah, there's plus 250 on Bet Online. We're looking at plus 250 on Bovada as well. Looks to be about what they're giving us for this one, but I like that. I like that quite a bit. Might go in a round robin or something. So Let's see, man. Hey, shout out to Zach Johnson in the house. And what's up, man? Good to see you again in the chat. We can move right along to, man, this is the cursed one, man. This is becoming Alex Perez, Matt Schnell level of matchmaking. Zalga Zhumagulov trying to fight one more time against Joshua Van, a debuting fighter at flyweight. And I got to say, man, I guess dogs are barking on this one, but Zalgas, I guess we can kick off with the money line. Zalgas sitting at a minus 200 favorite at this point. Josh Van plus 170. And as far as like a debuting guy goes on somewhat a short notice, I like Josh Van quite a bit. Like his striking looks very, very good. He's fast. He's seems to be like a natural talent at this point. Fighting in Fury FC for all of his amateur and professional bouts. The problem is his takedown defense sucks, but his scramble ability and get-up game seems to be pretty decent. I mean, look, I got to take Zalgas as a pick, but there's something about Josh Van and his tape that just makes me think he could actually make something of himself at the UFC level. What did you guys think about Josh Van when you were taping the newcomer here?
Listen, he was honestly very, very low on my priority list. I did watch some of it. I don't know. I wasn't super impressed with his last Cleveland McLean fight. You know what I mean? I don't really know what to say. I think he's a young kid at 21 years old in a division that they're always like, hey, you're decent, come on in. And I think he's taking his shot as he should. And if he's smart, I think he takes some time off after it and works at the PI or something and just continues to, I don't know, do what a young fighter should do given the opportunity to now be in the UFC. So Zalgas, of course, we got to be concerned with age. We got to be concerned with, honestly, he just kind of knows that he's a funny guy with his hair now. Like, I don't know if it's gone to his head. Like, he knows he's coconut head. Like, I don't like, you know what I mean? Like, it's funny when we're making fun of you, but when you actually think you're hot shit now and you've actually lost 5 of your last 6.
Like, no, Zalgas, we're not laughing with you. We're laughing at you.
Right.
You're
a minus 200 and you're a minus 200 favorite. And I'm like, I don't really know. So I don't really want any piece of this at all. So.
Yeah, I'm not on anything yet. Now that they're making Zalgas like a minus 200 something. And it also just seems like the MMA gods don't want me putting money on this guy. Like, I think I tried to bet him against Estevam when he was fighting that guy, and then that fell apart. Then I replaced the bet on him last week. That got canceled. Now at this point, I'm just not doing it again. Like, no, they're telling me to keep my money in my pocket on this one.
I was on Felipe. I was thinking I liked Felipe Boons. I didn't know if I was going to play him or not, but I wasn't picking Zalgas. And you have to still be considered with cutting weight twice in 2 weeks, 3 times in a month and a half. Like, it's not ideal for a guy his age. So I just don't. I don't know. I can't like it at all.
Do you agree with this, TB? Do you think he's over the hill at 34 years old, a 14-8 record, 1-5 in the UFC? Do you think he's just washed up at this point, Zalgas?
Absolutely.
Thanks for answering.
Absolutely.
Was your name TB? Was your name TB?
I don't give a. He's absolutely over the hill. He didn't even look good when he entered the UFC. He lost that fight to Bogatov. Like, it was a split decision to get to the UFC, bro. He hasn't been good. He's looked like a shell of himself. Come on, bro. Come on. Now you answer. Go ahead. Tell the people I'm wrong.
No, listen, I'm just going to say Zalgas has the ability to fight high-level guys extremely close. Only one had been able to put him out in the UFC up to this point in Manel Kape. I don't think by any stretch of the imagination that we're getting a Manel Kape type of performance here from Joshua Van. I think this fight's going to go the distance no matter how washed you're proclaiming Zalgas to be. He's going to have a huge experience advantage, and he's the one that I think could actually get that submission by chance, the one way that Joshua Van has lost before, as we saw Zalgas pull it off against Jerome Rivera in his one UFC win, where he didn't let it go to the judges to get fucked over. But I'm not running out here to bet Zalgas at minus 195. I'm going to recommend you guys pass and find one of these other 14 fights on the card to actually place your hard-earned money on. And maybe if you got a little not in this economy parlay, you can consider things. But listen, I mean, if you need to have a bet on every single fight, great. Look at the over 2.5. Look at the fight goes a distance rather than picking a side with your money is what I would recommend. But
I like this not in this economy parlay. I like him in that. That's funny.
Yeah, 138 with the lunch money bet on Van. Too much leading up to this fight for Zhumagulov, kind of like Guru was saying. Dude, I think Van is a very talented guy for 21, and he's just only been a pro for like 2 or 3 years at this point. I like his strike. He's super fast. His striking is technical. Not fighting the best level of competition so far, but a guy like Zhalgas, who is kind of wild with his striking, I think Zhalgas will have like harder punches, but I think there's a world where Josh Van could win the striking exchange. It's just the guy is like, again, he's newer to MMA as a whole. He's a striker as a base, and he can get taken down quite a bit. That part of the game usually takes longer to develop. So I think it's going to be the hard punching and then mixing in the takedowns and the cage wrestling for Zhalgas, which will get him the win. But yeah, something I'm staying away from betting wise, man. But yeah, there is something about Josh Van, man. I think some people know what I'm talking about. We watch you can find all of his footage on UFC Fight Pass too, since he's been fighting under that Fury FC banner. But
Josh,
I like him.
Josh Mini Van.
Yeah, Josh Mini Van. Yeah, he's Mini because he's a flyweight, and then his last name is Van. That's perfect. That's perfect. That's almost as good as your alley cat Lucas Almeida nickname last week.
Yeah, he definitely got taken out to the alley, if you know what I mean, Lucas.
But we can move along to the fight that everybody's here to talk about, it seems like. We got a women's strawweight bout between Tabitha Ricci and Jillian Robertson. The two heartthrobs of MMA Twitter this week. The Brazilian Tabitha Ricci, very high-level grappler, BJJ black belt, judo black belt as well, likes to take the fight to the mat, and she's currently, 3-1 in the UFC, only having dropped her debut to Manon Fiorot, which is totally understandable, up a weight class. Jillian Robertson in her second fight down at 115 after spending a large portion of her career at flyweight, where she's gone 9-5 in the UFC in total so far. Really good finisher, really good BJJ. And she's fought, the vast majority of high-level competition in the UFC and had mixed results. But, man, the money line is pretty close on this one. We're looking at Jillian Robertson, now moved all the way down to plus 120. Tabitha Ricci, minus 140, the favorite. I got to say, I think this is a close matchup. I'm leaning the plus money side of Jillian Robertson on this one. Probably not going to get to any betting action on this fight, but you got to look at the striking, which I think would go to Tabitha Ricci, probably just a better technical striker, even though both aren't that great. But I would give the wrestling and the grappling advantage to Jillian Robertson, just based on her being effective with it. She's got the most submissions in the female divisions. She's been able to take down much bigger women at a heavier weight class here. So I don't know if I can see Tabitha Ricci getting those judo throws and holding her down. I wouldn't be the most shocked in the world, but I just think for the plus money side, I would go with the experience and the size here for Robertson. What do you guys think about this matchup as a whole? Are you guys on a particular side? You guys simping for some Tabitha Ricci here, some Brazilian action?
I am. We are taking the one that represents our chronic interest in Jillian Robertson. Most likely to split a dime bag on a date in this matchup, right up our alley from ChronicCombat.
Yeah.
So. But no, ultimately it comes down to two things. It's a size advantage, and it's the fact that size advantage is going to play out at like mid to low level women's MMA here. That they're really not in the top 10 for a reason, and I'm not sure that they would really have extended success. Whereas at least Robertson showed she can hang in there against some higher level competition. I mean, Ricci, this is her step up to higher level competition since that debut against someone in Manon Fiorot, where we do see her get finished and quite handily. But that makes sense, up at 125. But guess what? Jillian Robertson, she was up at 125, and she could actually make it work there. Now with the 4-inch height, 2-inch reach, all this grappling experience. And honestly, you say, Ricci should have a bit more experience, from distance. Well, at least on paper, I mean, Jillian Robertson's getting hit a lot less from as distance striking plays out. And I think that both of them are really the same type of level of striker. I'm going to take the bigger opponent in this matchup. So I got a couple units out, Jillian Robertson.
Oh, nice. There you go. Grabbing some plus money. I like it. I haven't been brave enough to go there myself, but maybe I'll get there. What about you, Guru?
Yeah, in terms of heartthrob, I do have to lean heavily towards Tabitha Ricci. But for a bet, I am feeling quite Jillian-ish for the reasons that you guys have said. The experience, the size, and that's basically it. Experience and size, like you guys have said. Hopefully that she can control it as well. The big problem I do see, of course, if you're going to be on Ricci, is that you expect Ricci to be the minute winner, just because I kind of expect her to be on top. I'd think that Jillian might be complacent to be on bottom looking for submissions, and that could be a way for her to win. But it's possible that Ricci doesn't even want to go there and she just wants to strike. She also could put herself maybe in a bad position shooting for a takedown, and Jillian gets the sub. So I think if you like Jillian plus money, I think maybe you hold off and maybe you just play Jillian by sub, because she's got, what is it, 8 or 9 submission wins in the UFC via
Seven, I believe.
the record.
Yeah.
So, and if it goes,
yeah, man, I mean, actually, that's a good question. Like, what if this does? Because in a female fight, especially at 115, you expect that this is highly likely to go to decision, but that's not the MO of Jillian Robertson at all. She's what is she, like 2-5 in decisions or something like that? That's never good to see. So, could you see her winning just a control time based decision here against Ricci, or just threatening submissions the entire time? How would you see this go into the scorecards for either woman?
No, exactly. I think that scorecard, if you told me blind, fight goes the distance, I don't want any part of the Jillian Robertson ticket. And if that's the wrong pick, then I can eat that. But I really, really, really don't think so.
We got MMA Jesus, my guy Dev the Dude in the chat, the $1 Million Man. Man, he did you guys see that ticket he posted, man, a couple weeks ago? $10 parlay on the entire card at UFC 289, cashing in on $8,000. Let's see if he can do it again. You got a 14 fight card to work with, Dev. Man, I want to see that ticket on all 14. That'll probably pay out some 6 figures, dude. Let's call it right now. 6 figures for Dev the Dude. He's gonna be stunting, and this guy likes smoking the ganja as well, man. You guys would be best friends. Yeah. Man, that $8,000, that's like a week's worth of weed for Dev, man. He's
oh my goodness.
He was good to go for a whole week after that fight card at the pay-per-view. But yeah, okay, we're on the same side. It's not hard to convince anybody at this point, at this level, to be on a plus money side of a women's strawweight fight, right? Like to have all of those good qualities in Robertson that we talked about, and she's the underdog. Yeah, probably have to take that one. And now I'm considering betting on it since my guy TB is brave enough to do it first. But man, we can keep trucking along to a lightweight bout here. Mateusz Rebecki taking on Loic Radzhabov, and kind of like the fight we just talked about with Ricci and Robertson. If there's any similarity between the fighters, it's that Rebecki and Radzhabov both have similar game plans, right? Both guys pretty good wrestlers that have some solid knockout power in their hands. Maybe not the most technical strikers on the feet, but they sure like to spend time on the feet, just throwing big overhands, looping hooks up to close the distance. And sometimes they can get that club and sub victory or just a knockout altogether. So both guys coming off of dominant victories, Rebecki, and both guys really in their debuting fights had to kind of limp to the finish line to score that decision win, right? Rebecki emptied out his gas tank trying to knock out Nick Fiore in his debut in January. And man, after gassing himself out in round 1, he kind of had to just score those easy takedowns and get to, just survive to that 3-round control time-based decision over Nick Fiore, a win that's not really aging the best right now. But his pre-fight UFC tape looked really good. Loic Radzhabov, a guy with a lot more experience, been in the PFL, main event finale a couple of times, coming up short in those, but he's got solid wrestling as well. And against Esteban Ribovich, who is a hard-hitting debuting fighter, I think on short notice for one or both of those guys. I mean, he absorbed a lot of damage. He dished out a lot of damage. And more importantly, he got like 11 out of 20 attempted takedowns. So cardio looked okay. Durability checked out. This matchup is super close, man. So again, kind of like the last fight we talked about, I'm taking a stab on this one. I'm the underdog, Loic Radzhabov, and I went into the tape like expecting to come out with a Rebecki bet, but I like the plus money side for Radzhabov. I got him at plus 130, just a 1-unit stab. I think he can dominate where this fight takes place and probably go to that wrestling game plan first. But which of these guys impresses you more, Guru?
I am extremely unimpressed with Mr. Rebecki, and I'm very impressed with Mr. Loic Radzhabov. Radzhabov came into that fight short notice. Esteban was not, and he came out and he won the fight. He won rounds 1 and 3. He lands, like you mentioned, 11 takedowns, but that is the UFC lightweight record. He breaks that record in his first fight on short notice. And just to think about that. To get 11 takedowns, that means somebody has to get up 11 times. He shot for like over 20. Talk about cardio, talk about letting it rip, talk about having the dig deep after the dude's digging into the body, working hard to win that round 3 on short notice. I'm telling you right now, if Rebecki had to fight Esteban with that dude's get-ups, the way he uses that Kimura to fucking get up each time, Rebecki would have had a freaking heart attack. Nick Fiore, the guy that just got beaten the piss out of by Chase Hooper and then let go, that guy, that's the guy that he got clipped by in 45 seconds into that fight and had to no way. Plus money on this guy, he's bigger. I'm fucking confused. That's how serious I am. This is dog of the week.
Dude, I love your enthusiasm for this, man. Because I mean, I was very impressed with Rebecki's pre-UFC tape, and then he came on the Contender Series, kind of looked the part as well. Had a nice shiny record. Not the best level of competition, but he made them look like hands on the regional scene. Just slam takedowns like he's a mini Matt Hughes. I mean, I was very impressed with Rebecki, and he let me down because I think I had him inside the distance against Nick Fiore, and he certainly tried early on, but then he certainly faded against a guy that's not that good. So I think you're totally on point with everything you said in that one. TB, you got any differing opinions on this, and how do you see this fight finishing if it does? Do you think it's going to the scorecards? Do you think one of these guys is violent enough to put the other away? Neither has been finished, though, have they? I don't think either guy has been knocked out or submitted.
Nope, neither has been finished. So if you don't want to take the side that we're all agreeing on, like Radzhabov, dropping 2 units on this end over here.
Nice.
Between him and Jillian, I'm at least making a little bit of money. Both of those hit. Ooh, now we're talking. But yeah, Radzhabov, I think either way, both these guys, I think this fight is built to go the distance. We can see some big shots landed, someone looking gassed out, big, huge slams in the takedown department. But at the end of the day, I think we get a great fight that ends up going the distance. And I think in one that at least should be 50-50, if not line more in Radzhabov direction. I'm very happy to get in on the Radzhabov side here.
Yeah, and he's a guy that's been kind of both, like Radzhabov. There's some fights where he looks like he's a slow starter and then sort of builds. And then there are some fights where he does empty the gas tank early. But, it's going to be up to, I think Rebecki will kind of dictate the pace of this one. Probably be the aggressor first and probably end up emptying his gas tank again if, he can't put Radzhabov away. And Radzhabov is tough, man. This guy, if you watch those PFL finale fights, man, he got his leg chewed up early against Rausch Manfio, and he was in there the entire time, absorbing damage until the scorecards, even when it looked like he wasn't going to be able to make it to like round 4, round 5. So still slinging heavy leather and still presenting a threat in those fights. But yeah, man, I think that's funny. We're on back-to-back underdogs here. I like that quite a bit, man. For a card where there was a lot of favorites I liked, these are a couple of the dogs that certainly stood out. So yeah, you guys are building my confidence in these ones, man. Maybe you'll tear me down on this next fight at welterweight. We got Randy Root Boy Brown taking on Wellington Turman, welcoming Wellington Turman to the welterweight division for the first time after Turman has gone kind of lackluster in his middleweight endeavor, right? This guy's a submission fighter with not great Muay Thai. He's certainly hittable, and his durability isn't great for Turman, but he's only 26 years old. I feel like whenever I break down a Turman fight, there's always that little glimmer of hope that, he's 24, he's 25, he's 26. He could turn the corner and improve. But at this point, I'm kind of giving up hope. He's 3-4 in the league at this point. His 3 wins have been over guys that are all released from the organization. And Randy Brown is a guy that's got a lot of experience, man. He's been in the UFC 15 times, gone 10-5 in those, only losing to the highest. Well, not the highest, but, solid names in the organization over his career. Super big for the weight class here as well. And I think some of his strikes are, really sneaky the way they sneak around the guard. His hooks are really long and looping, and they just kind of go right around when you're blocking your face. I could see that rattling Turman. Randy Brown's got just enough jiu-jitsu know-how to maybe stay safe in some of these key scrambles, but yeah, I think it's a Randy Brown spot here. I'm actually really confident. I got 3 units on Randy Brown at -2. The hell was it? -216, I think, on him. So it's kind of a steep price to pay on Brown, but I just think that against the guy that's making this like desperate attempt to switch weight classes now to right the wrong of his career, I think this is a good spot for Brown to just be kind of a gatekeeper to the 170s against Turman as well. Make him pack his bags and go back to middleweight. So what do you guys think about this fight, man? Do you have any qualms about betting on Randy Brown in this spot I should be aware of?
I do. And maybe more than TB, because I came into the fight wanting to be on Brown as well. He's somebody, he's got all this power. He's so big. He's, he's talented. I just and he is all those things. I'm not sure that he actually uses it to his best advantage and is going to be able to keep Wellington Turman off of him, right? Because when you think about it, right, we watched that Trinaldo fight. He grabs it was very rude boy of him to grab that fence and cheat and not give up that takedown, because it should have at least been a point deduction, if not, him on his ass. And if you saw how that went,
do it again, right? Randy, do it again.
Right. And if you saw how that went in the 3rd round, right, he was going to be stuck down there. So if you're doing that to Trinaldo, right, and a really close fight with Chaos Williams, who we really did have high feelings of, but again, goes to that crazy close fight with Bedoya. Like, I don't really know what we have with Chaos Williams. And other than that, it hasn't been a very impressive run from Randy Brown. And you look at somebody for Wellington Turman, and again, you can talk a lot of shit about what he's been through too. He's been knocked out twice, right? Andrew Sanchez and Bruno Blundado Silva. He's losing to Misha Serkinov. He's like a +600 underdog live for whatever reason. And, he gets the submission from bottom there. He's just always dangerous. I think what happened is he gets kind of wrestle fucked by Petrosky in the area that he kind of wants to be in. And he's like, man, I'm 26 years old. I can probably cut this 15 pounds. And you guys probably know better about muscle mass and this like that. Like, you could change your diet, change the way that your muscles built, and a little bit anyway, and really try to slim up your body a little bit, train in a different way. And
just don't eat, and stick yourself in the sauna. You're good to go.
That, I guess, probably as well is what I'm sure he'll be doing. But I kind of like the long shot play, Wellington Turman by submission. It's what I like. Just kind of something on the light.
Yeah,
because
I got that written down. I think that's his money. It's like +500, +475. And I think that is his money line. I think that's his
I got +600.
Beautiful. Where's that at?
DraftKings.
Okay. Yeah, I like that spot quite a bit. I think that is his money line. TB, do you see any other way for Randy Brown to blow this other than getting submitted here? Do you think he could lose like a controlled time-based decision, or do you think it would have to be Wellington Turman snatching up something at some point in this fight?
Wellington Turman is more like one of those guys that's like losing until he wins, more generally. And he's not overall successful offensively in any way, whether it's takedown efficiency or just striking. I think Randy Brown's going to be taller, longer, more athletic. And while I'm not trusting him from a straight money line perspective, he'll be part of the not in this economy parlay, and I'll be playing him by the knockout, You got to get at least 5 or 6 legs on the not in this economy parlay, because the whole thing is you only really want to throw like a half unit to maybe win, like a couple units. That's the whole idea. Is I wouldn't bet any of these guys separately with like a major play, but on the off chance, maybe every couple weeks you hit it and it makes you back enough to cover those other guys. Like last week, we right away we tried to have Ronnie Lawrence give it away, but instead it ended up being our Quinones that ended up being the losing leg of the other 5. So Hey, we were close. 4 out of 5 last week. Let's see if we can get it to hit this time.
I like it, man. I like having even sometimes I'll just run like a grandma's couch cushion, as Guru would say, type of like round robin, where it's like all of the things that just counter my money line bets. Like if it goes horribly wrong, I'll have like at least a round robin of like, you know, all the people that shit the bed, and that'll come through and cover some units there. But yeah, man, seeing a lot of Randy Brown love in the chat. We're looking at Zach Johnson on him, 138. Can't even see him losing the fight. 2 cents saying an already chinny dude cut an extra 15 pounds. Subhuman Gaucho in the house, man. Man, was I off on my time zones here? There's always so many people to coordinate with. We got Guru and TB on the East Coast. I'm in Central Time. We got Wiz over there in Pacific Time, man. There's just we're always trading these time zones here, man. And Jenna, it's okay. It's better late than never for you, my dear. So, yeah, man, we can. I don't think anybody was on Rodrigues at this point. Besides, were one of you guys? Yeah, you both were. You both were. You guys liked him, and that's why Lou bet you said that you're both dead to him at this point. So, but yeah, man.
Luke can come see me at the bowling alley anytime. I'll put strikes up in his face, DX style. You know what I'm saying? So
give
come
me
get some, Lou.
or give me death.
Dude, the Florida powers for Rodrigues Dumas are going to be too much for Cody Brundage. The ratchet Pensacola powers will be too much.
If he wins, he better get the fuck out of Florida because the Bloods will be looking for him.
Dude, Rodrigues Dumas. Didn't he like punch the shit out of some young woman or something? What the hell's up with him? Isn't he like allegedly? Allegedly.
But he's like, yo, like
it's Florida. What are you gonna do?
And like his last interview, he's like, yo, everybody's like pushed a woman before. He's like, but if I was a real wife, then I'm like, all right, man, like.
That's a good defense. Yeah, where are we at here? Randy Brown, Wellington Turman, close that one out. We both like that. I like the Brown side. I like the safety prop of that big plus 600 on Wellington Turman by submission. I think that is close to what his money line would be in this fight. So the guy gasses out pretty bad. I can't see him winning a decision, but I could see him locking up something dangerous there for old Welly Turman. But we can move on to another welterweight battle between two guys that are, you know, scarily similar in their tail of the tape. We got Neil Magny taking on Philip Rowe. Both guys have that 80-inch reach and that ungodly 6'3" frame for 170. Pretty crazy stats. Neil Magny, you know, record setter in time spent at welterweight in the UFC, decision wins in the UFC, wins at welterweight. This guy has just been running that division. It being super consistent over his career, going 27 wins, 10 losses, and only losing to the best guys for the most part. And the submission game is usually his weakness. He just got tapped out very, very easily in round one by Gilbert Burns back in Brazil in January. But he returns as just a moderate favorite over Philip Rowe, who's been pretty low level in the UFC at this point. He's certainly been like an impressive young guy at the division, but he's still only like 3 years younger than Neil Magny at 32 years old. But Phil Rowe, it's always a comeback story with this guy, man. It's always like betting Phil Rowe and, you know, live after round one, or betting him in a round two prop, waiting for him to finish getting out wrestled in round one, and then he comes back and can use those long striking weapons to destroy somebody like a Jason Witt or an Orion Koski in round two, or in his last fight against Nico Price, a round three knockout. Still sort of a comeback story there, taking some damage in the middle of the fight. So, man, I'm all over Neil Magny in this spot. I got 2 units on Magny at minus, what the hell did I get him at? Let me look at my notes. Minus 145 on Neil Magny. I think that money line is still somewhere close to that. Can't be too far off. We're looking at Magny minus 170, plus 145 Phil Rowe. So, yeah, I mean, look, I could see my only problem with Neil Magny at this point, guys, maybe you can back up or deny this, is the durability of Magny fading a bit, or has he just been facing too close to the top level of competition for his own good? Like Daniel Rodrigues damaged him, put him on wobbly legs for a bit. So did Max Griffin. You know, is the chin of Neil Magny fading here, Guru?
That's the caveat of the whole fight. That's what it all depends on. And you're exactly seeing that. I feel like we do kind of forget that. I feel like it's a little overblown. That's what I think. I think it's a little narrative that, and I have to go there because it's just emotional to think that his chin is just completely gone. getting finished by Gilbert Burns on a mission, fully prepped, ready to rock, that's not a big deal. We know that Gilbert Burns, we know that he can't stuff takedowns, and we know he can get submitted. So that's how that happened. We all knew that was happening. That's easy money. He beats Daniel Rodrigues, who some people were picking to beat Ian Gary because he's such a good, violent striker. Okay? Like, you have to remember these things. Then he loses to fucking Shavkat, who's the next coming of Horst Kazakhstan Jesus. You don't even know what to expect from this guy. Is that a fucking big deal? No. And by the way, he lasts till round 2 against this incredible savage. Then again, he takes a lick dirt from Max Griffin, but what is the only thing Max Griffin can do, even though he's throwing 4 strikes a fight? He hits hard.
Yeah, he can crack. Yeah.
Right. So he gets a little wobbled, comes back, wins round 2 and 3.
Yep.
So, and again, I picked Michael Chiesa as a dog against him because why? He can't wrestle.
Good call.
Okay. So Philip Rowe here, the only thing he has to do, he needs to wrestle and submit him. That's his only way. And Phil Rowe likes to fucking bang. So he's going to get clinch controlled and given a vet lesson. So I got a unit on him at minus 150. But, I get it. If it's violence. I like TB's little thought. TB, have you given your little spicy play? It's dangerous. It's dangerous.
You got some spice for us?
I'll say I don't hate it. It's dangerous. It's very dangerous.
I got some seasoning to add to the conversation. So, as we've seen even recently in some Neil Magny success, it's all about wearing down his opponent over the fight, using the clinch, using the grappling. And Phil Rowe is shown to even get hurt in his own right. And maybe a better, grappler is able to get a finish like Nico Price in the last fight when he's hurt. Instead of going for some ground and pound and letting the guy work back to his feet, if you take that opportunity to snatch a neck. Now, the thing is, Phil Rowe, he's a good grappler and finisher in his own right. 1.48 knockdown percentage. I mean, sure, one of those is Jason Witt. But, listen, Neil Magny's been knocked down 8 times in his own right. And that doesn't count all the times he's been on roller skates doing the chicken dance. So I think no matter what, I'll take the under 2.5 plus 140, or just the fight doesn't go the distance plus 110. If you want a little extra time for that late Magny submission or Phil Rowe landing those, finally, like, he's a slow starter. Phil Rowe kind of has to get into his own pace. You know what I mean? So, like, what if it's like Neil Magny finally meeting his physical match? Generally Neil Magny's the bigger dog, but Phil Rowe's going to come in missing weight by like 2 or 3 pounds. So
that's another point to bring up.
It's not just size, though. It's not just size. It's technique. And Phil Rowe is jiu-jitsu. It's what he's doing all these grappling tournaments. He likes to jiu-jitsu. By the way, he's not winning these grappling tournaments. He likes to do them. He's enjoying the jiu-jitsu, but he's not winning them. What is Neil Magny known for? It's using the clinch and slowing people down to his pace. If he doesn't do that, he will lose. But that's his bread and butter.
Yeah, man, I like it. Both guys, you could go with that argument. It's like they're used to being a longer, rangier fighter at welterweight. Both of these guys have unreal physiques for that weight class. We'll see who does the better work. I'd say consistently, if it stayed at striking range, I agree with Zach as far as Rowe does have some really good striking weapons. But I think this is going to be, like Guru was saying, it's going to be a vet lesson in the clinch. The cage wrestling is really effective for Neil Magny. I think that's something that he can stick Phil Rowe against the cage, win minutes there, wear him down, make him slower. And Phil Rowe has been facing like a lot of, like, he'll give up round 1 and then he faces a gas bag of an opponent that slows down in rounds 2 and 3. That's not Neil Magny at all. So I am excited for Phil Rowe, though. Like, I like the guy's skill set. I like his physique, of course, for the division. But yeah, I don't know. I think this is a really tough spot for him here. Big step up in competition. Neil Magny would have to really have regressed, in my opinion, to lose this fight. But it's certainly possible, man. But yeah, if you can give me a lower level guy at 170 against Neil Magny at these odds, certainly taking the stab on it. So I'm hoping he can stay durable, hoping he can have that good cardio and have some good output and not make this a super close fight. So I like everybody's saying the round 3 props, even for either guy in this spot. I saw Subhuman Gaucho with the plus 4,000 on Neil Magny round 3 sub. If he can pull it off again, like he did against Daniel Rodrigues, that would be amazing. I might have to sprinkle that in at some point. That's a good call. Anything in round 3, fight ends in round 3. Hell, I like it. So yeah, I'm kind of with my guy 2 cents here, especially in round 1. Phil Rowe has that abysmal takedown defense. That's also part of my opinion of Neil Magny. He's so good at winning decisions, and Phil Rowe has yet to win 1 decision. He's 100% finish rate. He's yet to win 1 decision, and Neil Magny has won more than anybody in the UFC. So kind of a clash of styles there, clash of strategies there. Yeah, it's a Neil Magny play. You guys have even put more confidence than I've already had in here, but I got 2 units on him, minus 145. And we got our guy 138 also on that round 3 sub, plus 3,500. So, yeah, man. We're about as far as we can get on that one. That is going to be fun, though, to see 2 guys that are like mirror images of each other. Just 2 6'3", 80-inch reach, black welterweights going at it in Florida. Let's get it, dude. That's my kind of action. Should be a good fight. But we can move on to 2 guys that are not that similar, right? 185-pound bout here between Brendan Allen, a grappler, Bruno Silva, a powerful Brazilian striker. The odds currently sitting at, we've got Brendan Allen minus 190, the favorite on BetOnline. Bruno Silva plus 165, the underdog. The over-under set at 1.5 rounds for this one, since both guys are very good finishers in their respective disciplines here. TP, how do you see this fight playing out, man? Do you think do you think Brendan Allen will do the right thing, quote unquote, and take this fight to the mat early, or do you think he's going to stand and bang in round 1 with Bruno Silva?
Oh God, I am not all in on Brendan Allen, unfortunately. He's going to be the pick. I expect him to be able to win the majority of the minutes and the moments in this fight. Certainly maturing in his overall game plan and approach. Becoming a more physical specimen, but I mean the Bruno Blindado Silva knockout is ever looming, and a guy Brendan Allen that somehow decided he could be knocked out by Sean Strickland and followed it up with some Chris Curtis activity. I mean, it just rings alarm bells anytime he's going to be facing someone that can make him pay for his mistakes. His last 4 fights, he hasn't had to worry about anything in that department. I mean, boy, you're telling me that Sam Alvey, Jacob Malkoun, Christoph Jocko, or Andre Muniz present any sort of one-punch knockout power? No. So he's gained a little steam. But, I mean, even so, his volume, the best we've ever seen is against Punahele Soriano, who's kind of a one-punch pony, So as long as you see that one coming, then you don't have as much to worry about. I mean, Bruno throws some nasty check hooks. He can do some stuff off the back foot. It just takes him a little bit to get going. He gives up a lot of control time, and he's been submitted 6 times in his career. So, Brendan Allen, if you really need to play him, I mean, look into some props. I mean, a submission at plus 175 or, a Bruno knockout.
Is he making the not in this economy parlay?
I think one of the lessons I learned is that, with Brendan Allen, his line is at minus
180.
Minus 180. Ooh. See, I feel like
is he
that
making the parlay, yes or no?
He's not making the parlay. It's got to be like a minus 200 or more for a not in this economy type of idea.
That's crazy.
Because that's what crashed it last week was my minus 150 on Quinones. Everything else was a 200 or more.
You're so funny.
Got to learn from our mistakes.
Yeah, no, I get it, man. I think you're right. I think this fight's kind of one of 2 ways, right? If Brendan Allen can fight this fight intelligently, right? He'll hit Bruno a good amount and then take him down, or hold him in the clinch and try to tire him out and not play too much at distance. Because the problem with Bruno Silva is, if you watch the Brad Tavares fight, it doesn't matter how long he's winning for or not winning. Losing, bink, over. So, Brendan Allen's shown some durability issues. Got to be concerned about it. I do like him to win this fight. But, man, Bruno Silva plus 300 on the KO. Maybe you gotta take a little play on that. I don't know. Maybe you gotta go even a little spicier with the real crazy snipe, because he's already been knocked out in round 2 twice. Maybe you gotta go with the round 2 KO. But
Yeah, I mean, it just seems like a lot to ask. I'm picking, just like you guys, Brendan Allen. He should have the clearer path to control where this fight goes. But yeah, that's my beef with Brendan Allen at all times that he's fighting in the UFC, right? Like his grappling is good, his striking is developing, but him blending the two, not very smooth, right? It's just never like a smooth, like he can strike up top just to distract the fact that he's in a level change. It's rarely that way. He's either all in with the striking when he shouldn't be, or all in with the grappling. Um, and that usually looks pretty good. I mean, coming off the biggest win where he stole all of the shine from Andre Muniz as like the best grappler in the middleweight division, that was pretty cool for him to actually get that submission win in round 3 when he needed to. Impressive victory, but it's a whole different fight here against Bruno Silva. Like he stood and struck with Andre Muniz for a while, had success there, but if he does that against Bruno Silva, man, he's probably gonna get knocked out like Brad Tavares and a longer line of people. But if Brendan Allen could play that GM3 game where he just like lets Bruno Silva swing at air, but I don't think his striking is on the level of even GM3, to be honest with you. I know that's probably a hot take, but I'm always shouting the hot take that I think GM3 has really good kickboxing. Might not be the fastest or like naturally athletic guy, but I think if Brendan Allen tries to mirror the game plan that GM3 did, he will get knocked out in this one. So for God's sake, please wrestle in this spot. But either way, I like what Zach Johnson was saying, that Bruno Silva is a good dog. He's certainly the guy with that kind of knockout power, 20 knockouts out of 23 wins. That's the type of guy I want to back as an underdog if I had to. So kind of a dog or pass spot, I guess, is what I'm trying to get at here. But I think Allen should be he should be strategically the side. I'm not going to trust him, though. I'm going to watch this one sweat-free. Sounds like you guys are as well. So, man, we can truck along to – this is a fun fight to break down, this featherweight bout here, man. David Onama taking on Gabriel Santos. It's been a while since we've seen David Onama, man. It seems like he's almost been hiding for the past 10 months after getting embarrassed by Nate Landwehr as a sizable favorite last year at UFC San Diego. Starting off super strong in round 1, pretty much knocking out Nate Landwehr, who then woke himself up on the canvas and survived to dominate rounds 2 and 3. But he's a pretty good striker. He can be technical. He can be a little bit, risk-taking and hittable at times, but seems to be one of these fast twitch muscle fiber type of fighters that, doesn't have like a 3-round strong pace in all 3 rounds. Gabriel Santos, a guy who came in on short notice, former LFA featherweight champion. He came in on short notice in March against, what was his face? Lerone Murphy, who I had a lot of money on because I thought it was a great deal at like minus 130 against a guy with a little experience, a guy who'd never left Brazil before, a guy who ended up looking a lot better in the UFC debut than he did on tape. And I was very impressed by Santos, and he probably should have won that fight. Thank God he didn't, because I had so much writing on Lerone Murphy. But what's your guys' opinion of Gabriel Santos? Like, the guy's got a good, well-rounded game that he's shown in the LFA, and he looked very, very good against a high-level guy in Lerone Murphy. Are you guys just as impressed as I am with the Santos?
Not only am I impressed with him, but he beat Lerone Murphy. He won rounds 1 and 2.
They judged it as if there was no grappling at all in the fight.
It was in London, and he's undefeated prospect from England. Whatever, split decision in England. I get it. It is what it is. But short notice fight for Mr. Santos, right? And he still finds a way to get it done, and it goes the distance, mind you. So he's tough as nails. So Onama himself getting taken down and beaten up by Mr. Nate the Train in the UFC. Woo! So I think I think he's getting taken down at will here by Gabriel Santos. I think the line is actually just, and I really like Gabriel here.
I like his striking as well in this fight, man. How do you think this plays out, kickboxing for kickboxing? Do you think one guy's going to have a clear edge over the other in this one, TB?
So I think Santos is going to do a better job offering a more diverse attack on the feet, where Onama might be able to be a little bit better defensively because he focuses more on the boxing, I'd say, to pieces. Sometimes he'll add some kicks in, but I feel like he's more successful that way, where Santos is going to be a bit more diverse in his approach. Mm-hmm. And I think that also plays into his advantage in the fact that Onama really can't stuff a solid takedown attempt. And to be able to really get Lerone Murphy in control positions and bad positions with submission attempts. I think Onama has shown that he's able to survive and persevere in his own right. So I do like the over 2.5 plus 105. I like the fight goes the distance at plus 130. And I like Gabriel Santos in my little parlay I got cooking over here. Not in this economy, I'm not playing Gabriel Santos at minus 240, but you give me 5 or 6 guys like him, let's go. We'll throw it all together for a little half unit at the end.
Yeah, I think 2 cents is on the value side if I had to cap it that way. When I was just assessing like where I thought the money line would be, I was thinking like minus 170, minus 175 Santos in this fight. I do like his, like you said, I like the way that he can pace his way through a fight. I like his more diverse striking attack. He rips to the body, and he's pretty fast, man. He can mix in the grappling as well that we know that has troubled Onama, but it's, again, largely that pace. Like, I think he can spread out his effort over a 3-round fight if need be, whereas David Onama, not so much, man. The guy's got 100% finish rate, 6 knockouts, 4 submissions earlier on in his career. In fact, one of those submissions was against Garrett Armfield on short notice, but other than that, man, like, yeah, it's going to be Onama landing like that 15-punch combination he landed on Benitez if he wants to win this fight, in my opinion. So, yeah, got to go with Benitez, but, man, minus 240, I think that's a little bit rich for my blood. So, I'll wish 2 cents the best of luck here on that underdog shot. I think it is the value side. And, yeah, I agree with Gaucho here. The over could be a spot, man, because they do have the set at that over under. Where are we at? We can find the alternate on a Bovada. I wonder what that would be. Give me 1 second here. The over 1.5, minus 185 on Bovada. I wonder if even DraftKings is a better one than that, because I think this could get going, but I'd say it's Onama early. I'd say it's Santos late, and the late finish for him would be intriguing as well. But yeah, I'm excited to see this one. Again, it seems like it's been longer than 10 months since we've seen David Onama, a guy that has a lot of really good early finishing potential, but we'll see. How old is this guy again? I forget what age he is. Is he young enough to keep on improving and look different this time? 29 years old and 26 for Santos. You guys seem to keep tabs on where people are training. I know David Onama, the last time he fought was with Kraus, right, at Glory, and that whole beef kind of spilled over in his absence. Where is he at now? Is he training with another high-level team?
I think I heard Factory X.
Oh, okay. That kind of bodes well for him, I guess.
Yeah, I think another couple of guys had moved over there. So yeah, definitely.
That's a good point, 2 cents. Yeah, Santos did get hurt against Barbosa. It was a comeback victory. He came back in early round 2 and ended up, I think, head kicking Barbosa to sleep. But yeah, he got hurt very early in that fight. Murphy, yeah, man, I was imagine my surprise when I thought I had so much closing line value, just an easy giant play on Lerone Murphy at like minus 135, and then I got the performance, and I thought it was going very, very poorly when I went to the scorecards, but I ended up getting saved for once. And Factory X Muay Thai, it's been confirmed on, what is that, Instagram?
Bang, bang.
Yeah. Any other? I know who else is. I know we got. He's got the whole team because Brundage is from that team fighting on this card. Wasn't there somebody else in this card that was at Factory X? Or am I tripping? Is it just those two?
Cody Brundage.
Brundage,
yeah,
just those two. Nobody else.
Oh, whoops.
I think you're tripping, bro.
I
think someone else was from Elevation.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, this is the short notice boy.
That was Josh Van is from Team Elevation. So. All right. Well, yeah, we're kind of on the same side of that one, man. Nothing I want to get behind. I think the money line is a bit off, but I do see violence. I think a late finish for Santos, the way I would be seeing this one. But hey, could play out totally differently, man. Just want to see some good violence in this one. We can reassess those guys at a later time. But up next, man, we got finally a heavyweight fight, boys. It's been since the Andre Arlovsky Dontel Mays fight since we've actually had a heavyweight bout. It's been like 2 full cards with no heavyweight action. It's just downright fat phobic at this point. We got Justin Tafa taking on Austin Lane. Austin Lane finally making his walk to the cage for the first time. This guy's been on the Contender Series, made famous for getting knocked out by Greg Hardy cold in round 1 a few years back. And now like 10 pro fights later on the regionals, he's back. He scored his own finish by knockout and ground and pound of the Contender Series. Now he's taking on Justin Tafa, who's a 6-3 kickboxer. Austin Lane, more of a traditional boxer, but he's 6'6", with a giant reach and not the best chin. That's my beef with Austin Lane. If you watch his any of his losses, all 3 are by knockout. The guy's never been to the scorecards before, and he's been knocked out cold in pretty much all 3 of those losses. So that's not great against Tafa, who hits very, very hard and is pretty durable himself. Guru, how do you see this one playing out, man? Are you taking any of that dog action on Austin Lane? Do you think his physical advantages are going to do him well in this one?
They should, especially since he's a grinder. He's like 6 inches taller or whatever. Like, I can't trust him to do it, man. 3 knockouts all in round 1. And just like where like you're getting hit hard, kind of hit on the button, and you don't want none of it. No dog in him. He takes 4 rounds to finish Watt Adams, who finishes himself. Let's be real. Dude's exhausted.
Yeah, that's the one where he shot takedown after takedown and just kind of gassed out, and then
he lost the first 2. He literally loses the first 2 rounds.
I like when guys do have knockout power, even at like round 4 of the fight.
It was not knockout power. No.
I agree with you.
No. It was not knockout power. The ref literally, he's throwing with nothing behind it, nothing, and Juan Adams is shooting for a takedown, and he's basically sleeping there. And they stopped the fight.
That's true. Yeah.
There's absolute. That's the other.
Problem. It was like a mercy stoppage. Now that I'm remembering it,
he has absolutely no power. The only way he beats Tafa is Tafa doesn't finish him, and he gasses himself out in the clinch, and Austin just controls him. He has no strike. He can't. He doesn't. It's not there. Tafa should smash him.
Dude, I'm in agreement with you in this one.
He was supposed to fight. I'll stop. He was supposed to fight Junior Tafa, but he pulled out. I think he's had some bicep injury or some shit. That's the other rumbling I'm hearing. Austin Lane, yeah. He was supposed to fight Junior Tafa, and then Junior Tafa fought what's his face and still lost anyway because he can't fucking stuff a takedown. Austin Lane would have had the dub. Now they gave him the fucking bigger, fatter brother. And the older brother, like it's not a good look. And again, he's from Jacksonville, so he's gonna have an adrenaline dump. UFC, I don't like any of that. I don't even know who he's training with out in Jacksonville. It's bad.
Who knows, man? Yeah, Austin Lane. I mean, what are the chances, TB, that we see him? Because in his past few fights, he's gone from being the guy that gets taken down to the guy initiating the takedowns himself. Do you see him taking down Justin Tafa in this fight? What's the possibility of that? Or do you see him striking from the outside, staying out of harm's way, and just point fighting to a 3-round decision? How does Austin Lane win this fight? Can he win this fight?
I mean, sure. At heavyweight, especially at the lower levels of things, anything is possible, especially for someone that lost the decision to Jared Bandera. However, what I will venture to say is that when this fight was originally placed on the prelims, I definitely had zero interest in betting this fight and thought it was a terrible, terrible fight from a overall skill perspective. Now that they've moved it up to the featured bout on the main card, I still have zero interest in the fight and I have no bet for it, and I need to pass. So got to be a principled man, stick to my points. It's too low level. You can't trust Tafa, but Austin Lane has shown nothing that really makes me think he's in this fight other than he's from Jacksonville and they needed a big boy to kind of fill things out here. So.
Yeah, dude. I like Tafa quite a bit in this one. I don't have a bet on him. I guess what's his money line at? I should probably state that. He's a minus 180 favorite. Justin Tafa, Austin Lane plus 155.
Friends don't let friends place minus 180 on Justin Tafa.
Yeah. I mean, if anything, you could bet his knockout prop is probably the way he's going to do this, just because like he does have the losses to Jared Bandera and Carlos Felipe, but the thing that separates those two fighters from Austin Lane is those guys are terrible, but at least they're durable. Austin Lane, if he gets one of those big straight lefts from Justin Tafa, he's getting knocked out and probably won't wake up for a long time. Justin Tafa by knockout minus, oh man, we're paying chalk on this at this point, minus 130. We got to be able to do better than that on some sports book. Is it plus 100 somewhere?
No, I got like minus 125 where I was looking before. It's just why would I do this? I definitely can't Can't do that. So, oh my God, yeah. I mean, the over, like, let's get psycho. Over 1.5 at plus 175. Like,
Tell me why ain't nothing but a chalky play.
Yeah,
Tell me why gotta blow my bankroll on some bullshit.
Even round one knockout for Justin Tafa plus 130. Yeah, I mean that's how I see this playing out though. In all seriousness, like I saw that guy on the regionals against Austin Lane recently at that Eric Lunsford fight from last February, and that's another southpaw I could at least compare it to Justin Tafa, and that guy was landing on the chin of Austin Lane quite a bit. Luckily, he didn't have any power, and then he ended up blowing his knee when his like obesity crippled his own knee when he got taken down from Austin Lane. So otherwise, that guy probably could have knocked out Austin Lane. The guy, I think, is super chinny. I think Justin Tafa does knock him out. And yeah, I mean, my guy Blood Money MMA Bets is Cody. He's super confident. He's got a money line bet on Justin Tafa. I think he beat some line movement possibly, but I don't hate the confidence there. It kind of made me interested in playing him in some way. But yeah, you guys are talking some sense back into me, dude. I'll just watch this one and just be happy we're getting ourselves a sloppy heavyweight fight. I love these ones, man. So the over, what are we looking at for the over in this fight? I mean, I would be so scared to play this over. I would
over 1.5 plus 175. Gross.
I mean, 7.5 minutes of these two, dude. Like, Justin Tafa does move a lot faster than he looks like he's going to. He lulls you into that rhythm that he's the slow plodding, fat man, and then all of a sudden he sprints at you with that giant straight punch that you don't see coming, and you realize, oh, he's slowly stalked me where the cage is directly behind me. I have no escape route, and I think that's going to happen against Austin Lane. He's going to eat something massive against the cage, and probably see Jesus for a few minutes. So, yeah, that's the way I would play this one. Round one knockout, Justin Tafa. I'd be surprised if this goes any other way, but I guess we can move on to something a bit more high level but less obese. We can go to the co-main event. Amanda Ribas taking on Macy Barber at 125. Two women with similar records but different strategies. We've got Amanda Ribas at 11-3 for the grappler. We've got Macy Barber, the aggressive brawler, at 12-2. I see a lot of love for Amanda Ribas this week, man. A lot of love for her. We're looking at minus 200 money line for Ribas at this point. Macy Barber, the plus 170 dog. I mean, TB, does it not at least pique your interest that Macy Barber, who is very good at winning decisions, we got proof of that. She's a plus 170 on the money line. With her aggression and her forward pressure and her toughness, do you not see a path for her to win this fight?
No. So I took Ribas when she was back at minus 163 earlier in the week. Gave a little posted that out right away. So make sure you're following us out on our socials, and while you're at it, throw a little like on our channel. Subscribe to ChronicCombat. Join us for the fun.
All of the links are in the description for you guys, man. These people should definitely follow you, and it's been fun so far. You might even get to see more cat butthole from Guru's webcam if you subscribe.
Everything is possible when it gets to ChronicCombat, but
with no extra charge.
That's right. But as far as Ribas and Macy Barber goes, Macy Barber loves feinting at air, and she takes the Chikagian approach and letting it know how she really feels about it. But Ribas, I think, is going to have much better volume, whether it's from distance or from a wrestling approach. She's going to be much more efficient in consolidating top control than one like Andrea Lee. But even Andrea fucking Lee is out here landing how many takedowns? 5 out of 5 takedowns. I know not a lot of control time, but Amanda Ribas is going to turn that into control time. Roxanne Modafferi, I know there was an injury, but Macy had that dog in her. Like Roxanne Modafferi, she's able to consolidate into control time. We're able to see people like Jessica I get 489 seconds of control time versus Macy Barber. So this isn't just the highest level of grapplers having success. This is just about Montana De La Rosa. Even though she's unsuccessful getting the takedown, she's holding her up against the cage. Now we're getting a really successful offensive wrestler and grappler, someone that also has 6 submission attempts in the UFC. I think Ribas even has an outside chance of getting a submission in this fight. So I got Ribas at minus 163. I'm a happy dude, but for all you salty doggies out there, see if there's the prop that you like, or maybe she's part of your not in this economy parlay now at minus 195. We're creeping towards that territory. You let me know, but I got 3 units out on Amanda Ribas at minus 163.
Nice, dude. I like the confidence in the play when you break it down, especially the grappling stats. Like, yeah, getting down Caitlin Chukagian, getting down Viviane Araujo, like 2 girls that certainly can stay on their feet a little bit better than Macy Barber. And yeah, this should be a good matchup if you look at it from that angle. I'm in agreement with you, man. Guru, we get any Macy Barber love, maybe by a greasy split decision? Or potentially by a knockout, the way Mystic Dev has pointed out here is a lock. A 100 emoji, prayer hand emoji lock of the card.
Listen, I like it in terms of like Ribas has shown a little bit of chinniness, but like, Polyana Viana on the regionals and Marina Rodrigues a couple years ago now is not necessarily what I'm worried about, especially Macy Barber. Macy Barber has a 33% striking accuracy, which is just like Clay Guida level punching in air. It's really just not very good at all. And you're looking at Amanda Ribas, who is landing over 3 strikes more per minute at distance. So you're saying Amanda Ribas is the better striker, and then you're also going to tell me that what? By the way, why would Macy Barber take this fight to the ground? She actually thinks she's going to maintain top control there? She's going to get a finish? No, she's not. She just tries to lay on top of you. And what's that going to do? Amanda Ribas is an incredible jiu-jitsu practitioner. So Macy's not going to want to go to the ground with her and not going to have the pace or efficiency for her on the feet. Let's go, Amanda.
Yeah, man, I'm with you guys. I haven't gotten to a bet on it. I didn't get the nice number that TB did. I was a little late to the party by the time I researched the fight, but I could see Amanda Ribas certainly winning this one. The durability concerns, maybe. Barber is somebody who will just walk through whatever strikes Amanda Ribas tries to throw out there, but I think the more that Macy Barber engages in the fight that she wants to, which is in the clinch, hockey punching against the cage, that's where Amanda Ribas is going to get those judo throws and just flip her right to the mat the way that she did Caitlin Chukagian very elegantly. So I think even the closer Barber gets to where she wants to fight, she could quickly be in a spot she doesn't want to be in. So do you see this going to the scorecards more than not, or do you see any value in that, the under for Amanda Ribas by submission, plus 450? The under at plus 180 could cover both sides in case Macy Barber does land something on the feet. I'm not sure if I like I would rather just play the money line that you like in this one. What are you guys' thoughts on the over-under?
I lean more towards an under from a contrarian standpoint, in the sense that Ribas should be able to get the top control and potentially have Barber in some positions with her high-level jiu-jitsu, and that Barber might be able to find that sweet chin music. Just in the case that still exists, but at the end of the day, I'm not really gonna play around with it. I don't feel too spicy on it.
The Barber sweet chin. Imagine her tuning up the band in one of the corners of the octagon. She's got Ribas on like wobbly legs. The crowd just the band in Jacksonville, dude. How epic would that be? That'd be amazing. Oh man. Yeah, at least Guru doesn't have a dude. I do streams a lot with Johnny K Picks. That motherfucker's got a black cat. He's got like 12 cats running around on his screen at all times, and one of them is a black cat. And he'll just look at the screen when you're making a case for one of your bets, and it fails every time. I got a beef with that cat, dude. It's gonna go missing one of these days. Hope Johnny's not watching this.
That's funny. We just booked Johnny, so I hope that all our cats meet when we do our show.
Dude, that'd be fun, man. That'd be a wild time. Can't wait for that one. Johnny is good shit, man. Let's see here. Oh, yeah. Saying what's up to Justin Villegas, man. He's been drinking and thinking about heading out to bet. That is a good combination, dude. Mix your vices. Let's go. You always think clearer with some booze in your system. Let's get it, baby. Let's go. What are you laughing at? That's solid. That's the advice I give everybody. Why do you got a case of the giggles? What's so funny about that?
That's the advice I would give my mother.
That's funny.
So my grandpappy told me on his deathbed. He said drinking and gambling when he croaked. It was great. Beautiful moment, man. All right, we can move on to the main event. Featherweight bout between former interim title challenger Josh Emmett taking on Ilia Topuria, the undefeated 13-0 prospect at 26 years old. We've got a 12-year youth advantage for the Georgian high-level grappler and powerful striker Ilia Topuria. He's got that awesome Greco-Roman background. He's got a very good, strong takedown ability, dangerous submissions on the mat, very quick and efficient with those. And his striking on the feet, I think defensively could probably leave some holes that Josh could exploit, but he does land very hard, as a lot of guys have found out so far, like Damon Jackson, Ryan Hall via ground and pound. Jai Herbert, took a canvas nap after eating 2 big hooks to the body and head. And most recently, Bryce Mitchell, basically was a club and sub in some regards. He got hurt so badly on the feet and then ripped to the mat, and it was over by arm triangle back in December. Josh Emmett, he also has success quite a bit with the striking, man. He's one of these wrestlers that just, you're never going to see this guy wrestle that much. A takedown here and there, but this guy has fallen in love with his power, and for good reason. He's landed knockdowns in like 7 of his last 9 fights. We could say that Ilia's got some durability, just based on the fact that he's come back from that giant head kick from Jai Herbert and a follow-up knee that knocked his mouthpiece out, and he just stood there and banged and continued to win the fight. But when you know that somebody's durable, it's because they've eaten probably one too many shots, and we've gotten a chance to see that get tested. So, man, this is a very intriguing matchup when the money line is this wide. We've got Ilia Topuria minus 350, the favorite over Josh Emmett, who just challenged for an interim title at featherweight unsuccessfully, but he's now a plus 285 underdog. So it seems inherently a bit wide to me, especially when Josh Emmett hits as hard as he does. And I'd give him the experience advantage, of course. I'd give him even the striking and power advantage in this fight. This is kind of the same thing as like the Brendan Allen situation, right? Like, will Ilia go to the wrestling early and often, or will he stand for too long and get knocked out by Josh Emmett? Guru, kick us off with any plays you have in this fight and just how you see this thing going down.
I really think it's very interesting because you watch Ilia Topuria's style, and it's actually almost kind of similar to Josh Emmett's in that they both love the dirty boxing. They both love to get inside and use their power and knock you the fuck out. That's really what they like to do. But it's kind of interesting though, because when Ilia Topuria started out, it was all about his wrestling. It was all about his grappling, and he's really come in and displayed his striking. And it's quite interesting that, again, his dirty boxing is when he's in close is where he excels the most. Yet he's now used these outside weapons, the long range kick, the jab. He's used them to now set up his dirty boxing and keep opponents at bay. And it's been I think he's just kind of headed to another level right now. It's really kind of scary. He's looks really fast. Josh Emmett was swinging and missing bad versus Yair. Problem, of course, when fighting Josh Emmett, which again, Josh Emmett, one of my favorite fighters, maybe ever, is like it only takes one, right? And love to see Josh Emmett do it. I just don't think he can. I think the fight's almost similar to Yair in the speed and the flashiness and just the devastation when he's going to hit you. And Ilia is not afraid to work the body either, mind you. So my favorite bet is the over 1.5. Got it even money minus 110. I think it takes 7 minutes to get wherever we're going.
I like that play a lot. I actually wrote that down. I saw it like minus 115 somewhere, but yeah, that's a great price on that. I think this does at least, and we see a lot of these featherweight fights sneaking over more than we kind of expected to on paper. TB, I got a question for you about the cardio in this fight. We saw last year Josh Emmett went 5 full rounds rushing forward, being aggressive against Calvin Kattar, and we've seen a lot of high volume striking from Josh Emmett, even though he is more of a power type of guy. We haven't seen that from Topuria. We've seen like very little of him going the distance in fights. We saw it against Yusuf Zalal in his debut on short notice, his only decision result. And he was kind of slowing down just because that was such a heavy wrestling back and forth pace. But do you think Ilia Topuria can match that? If say shit hit the fan, this does go 5 rounds, or at least into rounds 4 and 5. Do you think Ilia can hang with Josh Emmett there, or do you think he falls apart?
Yeah, I would say I anticipate that Ilia would be training for that type of pace. And if it does go that far, that the wrestling won't be engaged for at least a period of time. I think Yusuf Zalal kind of pushed a grappling pace on extremely short notice. And that's the one time we've really seen Topuria extend it out. And he still wins the first 2 rounds and, does well enough in the third one. So I think at least here where he should be able to compromise Josh Emmett enough to the point where even if he does have a bit of a cardio concern, should be able to regain a second win and coast on along the way. I love the Guru angle. Definitely played along with that at the -110 on DraftKings and hit up the same game parlay option and went ahead and did a little Ilia Topuria along with over 4.5 minutes. And that got me +115. So
yeah, dude, don't you love the same game parlays from DraftKings? They just peak degeneracy. If you could measure an approach like that and take a guy who's -350 and you're like, oh, I think that's too wide, and just add a little bit of a time prop to it. That's not getting greedy. You said just over the later part of round 1 into round 2, and you can really cut that money line down. I do have to play with that this week. I was even probably maybe get like wild with it. Like, what if we get like you add like either a tied for knockdowns or a most knockdowns for Josh Emmett, and then you still sprinkle in like Topuria to win. You contrast those things. Maybe it's like a Jai Herbert type of situation where he does get dropped, but he recovers and then goes on to win the fight. How do you guys see this playing out? Like, you guys are on the Topuria side, it sounds like. Do you think he does win this by a submission? Do you think it's a knockout later on? When and how?
I'm going to go round 3 finish for Topuria. Maybe knockout.
What about you, TB? What do you got?
Yeah, I'll say round 2, late round 2, we're going to get a submission.
Yeah, that was my call, was round 3 sub, so kind of a blend of your guys' calls there. I think we do see some early adversity, put on by Topuria. I think he will get bum rushed and probably get clipped at some point. He's just so hittable on the feet against largely a lot of he's been facing a lot of grapplers so far, at the exception of being up a weight class against Jai Herbert, which gave him his toughest test yet. He's been facing mostly fellow grapplers. That does worry me. I don't have any action on this fight yet, but I do like Guru's over 1.5, close to even money. Super, they're really overrating how violent this fight is potentially going to be for the unders, I think. So, yeah, maybe cascading like the over 1.5, and then maybe even could we see an over 2.5 in this fight? I think if Emmett wins, it would be by finish and probably earlier. But this could go any number of ways. I just struggle to find, besides that over or doing a same game parlay, I struggle to find like a spot that I like from a prop perspective, just because the money lines and all of the props are so expected. They're expecting Ilia to finish the fight. They're expecting him to get a submission probably as a grappler here, and it just seems like there's not a lot of value on these props for this fight. So I might have one of these sweat-free weeks where like I just have the ability to sit back and enjoy the fight for once and not have my blood pressure go through the roof. But man, that is 14 fights that we have gotten through, boys. Dude, Ty, Guru, it's been a pleasure having you guys once again. We'll definitely do a lot more content together. I'm glad we're doing work together the past couple of weeks. It's been a fun double feature. Thanks to everybody in the live chat for hanging through a UFC Jacksonville 14 fight card. You guys are the best. And again, these guys, ChronicCombat Conversations, their Twitters, their personal Twitters, and their YouTube are all in the description. Make sure you go right now and give them a follow and a subscribe. For God's sake, watch their content. I'm certainly going to, before I go to bed, watch your guys' show that you did tonight and just run back. Make sure you guys weren't pulling my leg and goofing on me with some of these plays. I'm going to make sure you guys said it on your show as well. So the floor is yours, you guys. What do you got to say to the people? Where can we find you? What content you got coming out?
Yeah, so I just want to say thank you to everybody. First off, really appreciate everyone that turns out for Patrick's content. He does a great job, and couldn't do all this without partner in crime, Guru Scout and MMA, and and hope to see you guys on here, and hope you guys are checking us out over on our channel. But as I always do, got to pass it off to the guru to take our thing away here.
Listen, thanks so much, of course, first and foremost, to our unbelievably gracious host, Patrick, Addicted to Combat. It was a pleasure working with you last week, my man. Unbelievable pleasure being here on your show this week. Would love to come back anytime, obviously. So seriously, thanks so much for having us. It means a lot. And
you guys have no choice. You will be back. But
yeah, absolutely.
What's your guys' schedule with your content? You guys do your live streams usually early evening on Wednesdays, right?
Every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern is when we shoot for. Any week that there's a UFC card is when we look to go. I'm gonna drop this out here now. We're really looking to do Dana White Contender Series breakdowns as well, Monday nights.
Very brave.
So we're gonna give those we're gonna give this a go. So we're gonna drop that little nugget now. So be ready for those in August. But yeah, man, seriously, make sure you follow my unbelievable co-host at TB Scouting MMA. You can follow him on that Twitter, Verdict, Instagram, and Tapology. Me, the Guru Scouting MMA, Twitter, Verdict, Instagram, and Tapology. Chronic Combat Conversations on Instagram, Chronic Combat on Twitter, Chronic Combat Conversations on YouTube, 8 p.m. Wednesdays. See you there. Thanks again, Patrick.
Dude, thanks to you guys. Thanks everybody in the chat once again. Best of luck on any and all plays this weekend. Let's all get rich with it, and I'll be back very soon with my best bets and props, all the recommended plays and my betting action for this card. I'll see you guys there. Cheers.